Nelson attacking. Oh, we just got the full Nelson on a major rack attack.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Roll Tide Rundown. Today we're going to be looking at the post game of Alabama at Mississippi State. Alabama came out on top 88-84, and we're going to go through this game, break down top performers for each team, what were some factors to give Alabama the win, and kind of what our schedule is looking like moving forward. Okay, first let's look at some top performers for Mississippi State. Josh Hubbard, obviously, really good guard. I covered him in the pregame, and we talked a little bit about him. He had the best game of his entire season against Alabama last night. He had 38 points and 3 assists, shot insane from the floor. He started the game out hot, 2 threes, and he kept his foot on the gas all the way from start to finish in this game. He played incredibly well. Also, another player to note from Mississippi State that played really well is Keyshawn Murphy. He had 18 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists, and also played a huge part in keeping this game close throughout the entire game. For Alabama, we had some breakout top performers. Some players are starting to find their role within the system and really get their footing underneath them. The player of the game, in my opinion, was easily Chris Youngblood. He had 23 points, 7 for 10 from 3, 70% shooting from 3, which is insane, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist. This is Chris Youngblood's second start with Alabama. First game, he did really well, and his confidence and his production continues to grow in that starting lineup for Alabama. He played really well. Mark Sears, last game against LSU, benched at half, 0 points. We expected a big bounce back game from him, and that's exactly what we got. We got 17 points, 6 rebounds, and 9 assists. He was 1 away from a double-double in his bounce back game. Also, another player that played really great for Alabama, Grant Nelson. He had 15 points, 7 rebounds, and 1 assist. He played really well. Huge highlight dunk in the first half of the game. He played great as well for Alabama. And then looking at the blue collar award player for Alabama this game, Mohamoud Diabate, who seems to get it almost every game at this point. I think it's important to note. Oates said in an interview that although Mohamoud Diabate did win blue collar, Mark Sears was only 1 singular point behind him for the blue collar award in his bounce back game. I just wanted to put that out there to add to Mark Sears and how he played for Alabama yesterday. But back to Mohamoud Diabate, he had 4 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 assists, with 7 of those rebounds being offensive boards and a lot of huge rebounds, including the one late in the game to basically seal the game away. That was a rebound by Mohamoud Diabate. So looking at some of the factors that I think kind of push this game into being a close matchup, number one is the firepower from both guards within this game. For us, we had Youngblood and Sears who had 23 and 17 points. And then, Josh Hubbard for Mississippi State with 38 points, his career high, I believe, and easily his season high, was, part of why this game was so close. But also I think another big factor was turnovers for Alabama, and also just the physicality of the game overall. I think played into, kind of how this game went back and forth and kind of how it seemed every time Alabama would get a lead, Mississippi State would answer back. And that kind of segues into the next part of what one of those factors were, especially for Mississippi State. There was a really, really good turnout at their place for this game, and I think that really helped them in a lot of ways. It seemed every time Alabama would, go on an 8-0 run or go on a run and kind of start to build that lead and start to kind of quiet up Mississippi State, they would come back, Josh Hubbard would hit a 3, or they would get a big rebound, second chance point. things of that nature, and the crowd would multiply that and make that one bucket worth 2 or 3, just off of the environment that Alabama had to play in that game. It was from start to finish. Mississippi State's fans were there, and they gave it their all. So another thing to look at for Alabama that kind of kept us in the lead late and also helped us get this win is our shooting percentages. So Alabama from the field shot 49.2%, which is pretty good. And then when you look at our three-point percentage, it kind of puts all this into perspective a little bit. 48.4% from 3. We shot 15 of 31 from 3. Part of that is Chris Youngblood, 7 for 10, 70% from 3 this game. But when you look at our three-point percentage and when those shots fell within the game, they were big momentum-changing threes. And a lot of times, Mississippi State would have the momentum, especially with their crowd being the way that they were. And these threes would kind of knock that down a notch, kind of quiet them up and allow Alabama to, cushion themselves within a little bit of a larger lead. And so I think this is another thing to look at as far as, looking for the answer for why Alabama won this game. You have to look at Chris Youngblood shooting and also the team shooting as a whole. And when these threes fell, I think that's going to be a big factor in looking at all this and kind of figuring out where, these big shots came from and who they came from and why that helped Alabama so much. So with this win, this puts Alabama at 18-3 overall. And looking forward into our schedule, our next game is against Georgia at home. So I look forward to making a pregame and postgame video for that game. And stay tuned. Roll Tide.